following will contain spoilers for the plots of these video games. You have been warned.
Hey Loki, guess what? After a couple of days, I thought now that the chores are done, you can join me on one of my lists. And it's your favorite top 5 video games.
For the years, video games such as Sonic the Hedgehog and the Mario Brothers have been popular throughout their time, up to the point where they basically have their own cartoons. So after some time thinking about it, I thought, why not have a video game that could be made into a cartoon? For this list, I'm going over some of the top 5 video games that I feel like should have been made into cartoons, since we've had a lot of growing cartoon franchise. And these video games are going to be based on presentation, characters, and the plots themselves. So without further ado, let's begin. Knight's Journey into Dreams is basically the sequel to Knight's Into Dreams. Anyway, these video games focus on a character named Knight. He is, well, I'm going to go with he, though technically they're genderless. Anyway, this character goes into the world of dreams and unites with the dreamer in order to get their Idia back. Idia are basically lights that represents the aspects of all human beings. Anyway, Knights come across as basically laid back and similar to that of Sonic, willing to help others whenever possible. Ironically though, Knights is a nightmare, not an actual dream character of this world. Basically, this character is a lot like Riala, who is one of the enemies that Knights has to face in order to protect the visitor, which is the child that visits the world of dreams, along with facing off with the insidious Wise Man. These two villains seem like iconic characters, and I feel like if they had more improvement in time, they would have been great villains. Anyway, I felt like the characterizations and the scenery is absolutely stunning. It just felt like one of those fantasy cartoons we've been longing for all our lives. It's imaginative and it's exciting and it has a good form of character growth. But I put this at number 10 because it's basically, well, the world of dreams is a complicated thing, as sometimes the TV producers may have some issues of figuring out how to set up a plot in a way where people will understand how it's going to go. Oh yes, dear Pokemon fans, I had to include these games in the list because they were pretty good. Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. If you're wondering what the plots are with these, it basically focuses on a single male trainer who goes out into the world of Pokemon in order to set things right. Along the way, you get to meet some interesting characters, and the majority of the time they're always accompanied by an evolution. In the first one, it was Umbreon and Espeon, and then of course there was a regular Eevee. Anyway, with this game, you'd also have a Seer, a young sidekick who help you see shadow Pokemon. And in this one, you have to purify the shadow Pokemon and bring them back to normal and save the world from a Team Cypher. I felt like this plot was simple, but yet at the same time unique from what was originally put into the standpoint of the original Pokemon series. Don't get me wrong, I was a long-time Pokemon fan, and I know it's been going on for generations, especially now. I put this further up along the list because there's so many different versions of Pokemon going on, but I felt like most of it has been beaten to death a lot, especially when it came to Ash not changing his age one little bit. Game has yet to come out, but it does intrigue me up to the point where I just want to play it. I've only seen the gameplay, but it definitely has a high potential. So basically, this focuses on the story of a duo named Maybe and Maybe being sort of like a female version of Sonic the Hedgehog who wants to search justice for the people of Vital City, while Zoot is cool and collected. Together, these two take on Rensar, a group of elite artists who have this real interesting from before because they care. So anyway, this definitely jumped me as Trolls from the World duo. Something I've seen before, but at the same time, it's ABM taking over the scene instead of rock and roll. And I definitely like the concept it's pulling off. And I put this at this high of the list because it has a high potential of being a very good cartoon summary, whatever you want to call it. But yet at the same time, it can be a little frustrating to figure out how to put the best together and make sure the characters are likable. And the Blind Forest just had to be a number 2, and for good reason. It's a story about a little light spirit named Orby who goes into the world to figure out how to save a forest that is dying. Along the way, he gets help from allies such as that little orb of light who has the ability to grant him powers of his ancestors. We definitely get to see a lot of characterization and stunning visuals despite the fact that it is basically a platformer game. Also, he has to battle shadow creatures like Kurto, this monstrous owl-like creature with a very sad backstory. I felt like this entire story was just so heartfelt, you can't help but sympathize with every single character that you come across in this video game. Even the villain just has that heartbreaking story that just makes you want to cry every time you talk about it. And I put this at number 2 because some people may have some issues with platformer games and they may not know how to set this up, but I feel like with this colorful story and interesting characters, it has a very high potential like that of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Alright Loki, this is it. This is a twofer for the number 1 top 5 of the video games that need to be cartoons. Among the Sleep is supposed to be a horror game, but it's more of a creepy sort of element to it, kind of like Owl House. Anyway, you are basically in the prospect of a little toddler/baby, and along the way you have to collect certain items of memory in order to find your mother. And you always have a teddy sidekick in order to help you find your way, and the lights help you get there while at the same time you're avoiding monsters. This setting is very surreal and you can't help to get the ominous feeling. And as you progress forward in the story, you're slowly coming up with the idea and concept of what this baby's trying to deal with. Basically, an alcoholic mother who is having issues trying to be a single mom. So anyway, I felt like this was number 1 because it just has such high potential of being a surreal story, but it can also work as an anthology like that of Goosebumps. But if you want something a little more wholesome, I would recommend Ghost Giant. It's a virtual game, which I felt like could be a series in its own right. So for any of you who are wondering what this is about, this is basically a story about a ghost that you play as, summoned by the tears of a young boy named Louis. He's shy and modest, but he does try his best to make friends as well as help out his mother when he can. And the worst part is, his mother suffers a really crippling depression. She could barely get out of bed or even smile at him. The whole situation is just heartbreaking for a kid his age. I don't know how old he is. I'm assuming he's maybe 10, 11. Anyway, what made it heart-aching was towards the tail end where he says, "Don't take her away, I'll do better." And what makes it even more heartbreaking is you get the situation. You want to help him get through this horrible thing, a situation that's beyond his control. And so you also try to help some of the villagers in the process as well. And I felt like this heartwarming tale really deserves to be made into a cartoon because it just is one of those feel-good cartoons you just need, especially now. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you subscribe. Please leave a comment about what other cartoons or in a video game you deserve to be put in there. Let me know. This is Dragon Videos and Loki Pants signing off.